ready for another lesson?
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Back Row Banter, your favorite casual movie talk podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adam Schwartz, and on this week's episode, we'll be talking about the movie Bob Marley, One Love. But, of course, before we get to any of that, I'm joined today by Jammin' Nathaniel Gingrich.
What up, folks? I'm Jammin' Nathaniel.
Jamming out over there, huh?
I've just been jamming.
Yeah, making jam.
I'm more of a jelly guy than a jam guy. But,
what is the difference?
What I was going to say, from somebody who's picky, what is the difference? Because I would pick those up like in a grocery store.
No, go
and
ahead.
The exact same.
You might know better than I do.
I think my only differentiating point that I have found, and I really don't know if this is fact or not, but jelly, in my opinion, has no actual fruit chunks in it.
Sure.
It's all congealed. It's one formal unit. There is no things in there.
Pureed.
Yeah, and whereas like jam is gonna have more of like your preservatives. It's actually gonna have bits of fruit in there.
Gotcha. It's gonna have pulp.
Yeah, yeah. Those would be my two differentiating
You're
aspects.
pretty close. I googled jelly versus jam, and what came up is while jam uses the whole fruit, jelly calls for just the essence, the fruit juice.
Ah, okay.
Got it.
So you're pretty close on that, yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm always jamming. You know me.
Always jamming. Love to hear it.
How do y'all feel about pulp and orange juice?
I'm totally okay with it. I don't have a preference. I actually would say a little pulp makes me feel good.
Yeah, feel like you're getting something.
Yeah.
Like a little protein or something.
But like I'm also not like on the other side. Like if somebody grandpappy just juiced it in the fucking kitchen and it's the whole orange in my fucking drink, I'm also not like, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to drink it. Like it's still good. Right. So yeah,
right.
I'm not either way.
Okay. Adam, Nathaniel?
I think I'm generally pro pulp, but it doesn't matter either way.
Okay.
I don't mind the pulp. I can go either way. I don't really know what I gravitate towards. Like if I had to pick, I would maybe lean pulp, like give me some texture, you know, but I'm cool either way. You know, I don't really have too much of a preference.
Fair. So with that, then the $1 million question is, was that always your stance? Or as a child, were you like, I'm not simply drinking pulp? Or was that
as a kid, I don't think. I think I was like, I don't know what it was in my head, but like in my head, pulp was bad. Like you didn't want the pulp.
Okay, for sure.
And like there's something I was introduced to that concept, and then just never wanted pulp, and then eventually I was like, oh, it's not really that bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what it was.
No, I've always been on that stance.
Okay.
And I think it's also part of because like I grew up in a household where it was like that's the orange juice we fucking have.
Sure, you're gonna drink it.
And you're gonna drink it.
Yeah. I don't think I was ever I can't remember it ever becoming that much of an issue, to be honest.
No, it was never like that. It was just kind of like I guess like my sister was more like
Yeah, I guess I must have been introduced to pulp orange juice first. Because I can never
100%.
remember a time like coming across pulp orange juice and being like, no, this is weird.
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird that it's not in there.
Yeah, it makes it feel unhealthier.
Yeah.
It's really
my wife can't stand it.
Really?
Yeah, she's like, absolutely no pulp. You cannot have it. I'm like,
It's because in my head, like they take the pulp out and they replace it with sugar. That's how I
possible.
justify it to myself.
There's probably just as much sugar in both of them.
I'm sure, yeah. But still.
Yeah. That's the mental part of it.
That's me jamming Nathaniel.
Also jamming with us today is Rasta Tyler Verdalis.
what's going on?
How much do you know about Rastas?
Like the actual like
Yeah. Because I started doing some research into it. It's a wild religion.
It is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more?
Yeah, I mean, I won't like. We could talk about maybe in a little bit. But let's get through the introductions first. But yeah,
okay.
Because it's interesting.
It is. I like all religions, though.
True. Yeah.
I think no matter what side of the fence you're on from religion, anytime you hear about a religion that you just don't know about already, you're gonna like right off the bat, you're gonna be like, that's really interesting.
But it wasn't until I was like maybe in my mid-20s that I realized it was a religion.
Yeah, I would say I'm around the same way. That's not something I knew for a long time.
Yeah, I thought it was just like a people or something like that. You know, like I was almost thought it was like you were from an area or something like that.
Yeah, or like, or you kind of just associate it with Jamaica in general.
Sure.
Like if you're from Jamaica, you are Rastafarian,
Right,
and so like that's what I always like. Just thought it was because you were from Jamaica.
Like,
that's what
it'd
made
be
you
almost like calling it Caribbean.
exactly.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
But anyways, I'm good.
I was gonna say, well, Blake, don't you have family in Jamaica, or didn't you guys just go, or was it the Bahamas?
So no, we went to Jamaica, but I am not Jamaican.
Okay.
So yeah, no, we just kind of went there as a family trip. So that was the.
But it was for a
first time
family
I've been
reunion
there.
or something like that.
Correct.
Though, right? Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
correct. We just happened to do it there.
Got it.
But to my understanding, I don't believe we have Jamaican heritage.
Fair enough.
I need to do one of those. What are they? 23s and me's? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Those things scare me, dude. I
Yeah,
don't
do
need
one of
I don't
those
need my DNA entered in some database and
All right,
they
boomer.
and then they're solving crimes using my DNA.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
They already
I
got.
don't know if I want it.
I could imagine there's
Probably
probably
does.
some horror stories out there, man.
They already got mine, man. I'm ready to be minority reported whenever it happens. You know, like, they're like, he will commit a crime in 15 years. Time to take him out. I'll be like, all right. Well,
I think it was 23andMe had a data
yeah, they did.
breach, and like a lot of their data got leaked, and I don't know
Yeah.
what that data entails or like what it can be used for, but I don't
Right.
want to take that risk.
I'm ready to be in
They're-
the Blade Runner future.
They're cloning you.
Probably. It's probably like that. My digital likeness is already gone. Or
I was gonna say
something.
it's the creator.
Right.
So donate your digital likeness.
They're using my skin.
It's already in
face.
some AI.
You know, I've often
Yeah.
been told that I always, pretty much anyone I meet is always like, "Hey, I have a friend that looks like you." Maybe this has already been happening. Is what I'm saying. Is that I'm already one of them.
Well, this is one of the conspiracy theories that like I'm deep in on, that the government has just been cloning people for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of
man.
years.
I'm one of them.
Because if you look at like some famous people, their faces are like literally on old shit, like certified, guaranteed, authenticated old shit, and it's like the same person. It's like that's fucking eerily weird.
That's what I'm saying, folks. I'm one of them. I never knew though. I'm like a sleeper cell agent.
Jason?
They
Yeah.
wipe your memory every time you're reborn.
I'd have no way of knowing.
Whoa.
It's all
we
simulation.
never
man.
would.
How funny it's like they're like we're gonna, like you're a famous person
No,
like
well,
200 years ago.
Like,
You're like the first
Yeah,
guy.
like,
You're like the
you
first
just
guy to
don't
make
know.
fire.
yeah, I just happen to be in the one era where I'm just an NPC now.
Yeah.
Like really,
You're
like
you're
Yeah, that's
becoming
what the
you're
kids are
you're
calling
like
it.
the first generations of AI. You're becoming symbiont, aware. You're
That's
this.
true.
Oh,
this blueprint's been around.
I gotta
for
go.
ages.
I gotta go. I'm gonna go throw up.
That got really deep.
We jam
real
it,
quick.
man. We told
Yeah,
you.
we jam it. Also jamming with us, rounding out the squadron, of course, is Big Bob BlakeHolder.
Hey,
Just the
I
Bob
like the
man
name this
today.
week. Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
just
it.
the Bob man. What's going on, Blake? How you doing, man?
Hey, we're holding up, man. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Decent weather this week. It's been like 60
only
the
gonna get
past 2
better.
days,
Yeah.
like as quiet as kept.
Yeah.
Maybe not 60, maybe north of 50. for
Today
sure,
got
right.
Close,
Yeah, it
if
was
not
50.
right
It was
at
nice today.
Mid
For
50s.
sure. Yeah, no.
As nice
So-
as the weather is,
Scares the
I
shit
don't
out of
want
you.
it scares the shit out of me, man.
Yeah, there's
Global
some
warming,
about
man.
50
Yeah.
degrees in February. You're
If
just like,
you've- I
"Ooh."
saw a chart. I saw a chart yesterday that like was the lines from the past couple years of like the average temperatures, and like we're already above 2023 like, so far this year. Like it's just already been hotter.
Yeah, but like,
It's just
So-
a straight.
Yeah, but I've
fucking
like 20
vertical
years ago,
line.
I've also
Basically,
seen
yeah.
it snow in April.
yeah, that was the other thing I was gonna say too. It's like, remember in October
Well, this
or
shit's
like
been happening
September
since
this year,
you
where it
know
was super
the Industrial
cold?
Revolution. So like it doesn't make me feel
It's
any
also
better
true.
Yeah.
saying that 20 years ago it was happening. Like yeah, it's been happening since mid 1800s. So
No, I'm
know.
not saying that. I'm just saying like let's say it just the impact hasn't been there yet, and it was still like snowing. Like there's been times where it's snowed in April. So I'm just saying, like I think it goes both
I mean, yeah, I've
ways.
seen.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like I'm not saying that global warming isn't real, by the way. I'm not arguing that fact.
I was about to guess.
No. I won't. I'm not. No, that's definitely not a grenade I'm
just saying.
willing to step on. I'm just saying, like I've seen the opposite side too.
Freak snowstorms do happen.
Yeah.
And
I don't
Punxsutawney
like,
Phil
I don't like
saw
any
a
of it,
shadow.
though.
The biggest
I don't
thing
like any of it.
that we're not taking away with, obviously this was
Oh.
already predicted. Punxsutawney Phil
Okay.
saw his shadow, so there's nothing to worry about.
Is that the groundhog?
That is correct.
Yeah.
What's his name?
What a
And where is he
stupid-
located? He or she?
Punxsutawney
Stupid
Phil.
tradition.
I'm sorry.
I believe he's in the town of Punxsutawney, and his name is
Where's that?
Punxsutawney
Is that
Phil.
like
I
is that
feel
like
like it's in
Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania.
something like that?
Well, we
It's
Yeah,
so
for
the
sure.
Yeah, I know that for sure.
to
but-
get us somewhat back on track. Woodstock, or not Woodstock. Groundhog Day, the film
Yeah.
was filmed in Woodstock. And so that's
Hey,
why
did not know
Woodstock,
that.
Woodstock has like a full blown like celebration on the morning of Groundhog Day. We have Groundhog Willie, and he literally like gets
Oh my god.
out of the stump every single year. There's like there's like hundreds of people on the town square at like 4 a.m. and sometimes it's on like a fucking Tuesday, and people still show up and show out. It's crazy. There's a mascot walking around. It's insane.
You heard it here first, folks. Come check out
Sounds
Woodstock
awesome.
and Woodstock Willie.
I hate Groundhog's Day, and I think it's so dumb.
Oh, for a minute I thought you were gonna say you hating groundhogs, and I was gonna be like, well, what did they do to you? But I understand the day for sure.
Yeah, the day
First we're arguing global warming.
Yeah.
movie
Then we're
is
fucking
fine.
hating on animals. We're just batting 1,000 a night.
All
You
over
know
the
what?
place.
It's time we address all the controversial opinions we have, fellas.
This is the
people
episode.
need to
sick of
know.
hiding.
The Bob Marley episode's the one.
The Bob
Yeah,
Marley
right,
episode. I'm sick of it all.
He started something.
He did, yeah. I'm feeling frisky. I'm feeling revolutionary. You know.
Yeah, we actually all think the Earth is flat, by the way, too.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That's a pretty big leap. I
Show
don't
me
know.
proof that it's not.
That's why the universe is banana shaped.
I was telling you guys a while. I don't know if I've said it on pod. We're all over the place, but
It's
I got
okay.
into an actual fight with one of my best friends, Deji, who Adam now knows. We met his brother,
Yeah.
who came into Best Buy a few months
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
But me and
Undeep.
Deji got into like a fist fight. This is maybe like 6th grade over Transformers, and his basis was
You told me
can't
about
prove
this.
to me that they do not exist.
Right, yeah.
And it just
That's fucking
infuriated me
awesome.
so much at that age. And yeah, so I feel him though, man, because you can't, you know what I mean?
You can't
prove a lot
prove
of
they're
things.
not. That's true.
Google search the word satellite. They're all generated photos.
Oh, God.
There's not one real photo on the internet of a satellite.
Dude, I've seen it with my naked eye. You can see
My own
satellites
two
from the ground.
peepers.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Here we go.
You know, you're right. It's yeah.
You don't
It's
think we
probably
live
just
in one
aliens.
big LED dome?
Truman
we
Show
need to get out
style.
of here. We need to get out of here.
That's funny as fuck. It's like a cabin in the woods, right? where it's,
Yeah,
like
yeah, or-
enclosed in a, yeah.
What is it? Or the new
Makes sense.
Godzilla vs Kong, where he's just like it throws the stick into the
Yeah.
dome over or the tree. Yep.
How did we get here?
Anyways,
If you can't tell,
Anyways.
Nathaniel and I are in person together. So that's why things might be getting off track a little bit.
little loose.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
always a different
uh,
vibe when you get, one of the two of the four of us together or more.
Yeah, Nathaniel's apartment complex came under a Chinese cyber attack, and
Could've
his internet
been.
went down. Yeah.
it's all the
That's
all the
nuts.
piracy I've been doing.
That makes
Yeah?
sense.
Is that how you're paying the bills?
all my VPN and I've been doing over there,
Jesus.
distributing the Madam Web
Yeah.
to all
Yeah, finally caught
the
up to you.
fans out there.
Oh my god.
I heard that is currently ranked number 4 on the list of worst Marvel movies ever created.
It's not even a Marvel movie. It's a Sony Marvel. We'll talk about it in what we're watching.
What is that? Oh, Madam Web.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think you can waterboard me to watch that film.
It is staggeringly bad. Like it's
I will
so
never watch
it's
my
so bad
God.
it might be like a work of genius. It's one of those ones where you're just like this might have crossed over somehow. This might
That's
be
awesome.
This might actually be perfect. Is this the
I would watch it. I just need. I want to watch it just to say I've seen it. You know, it's one of those
It's something else.
where it's so bad that I need to see it.
It genuinely like
Wait, so Nathaniel, did you see it?
yeah. I saw it
Oh,
this
okay.
weekend.
Okay.
Bit of
And-
sizzle. We'll talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, real quick, where are you ranking that in terms of
Like it.
Sony superhero films?
Oh man, I didn't see
'Cause
Morbius.
think, like Morbius is pretty bad.
I didn't
as
see
they say.
Morbius. Yeah.
Sure. Second Venom's not the greatest.
Oh, I mean, both the Venoms are above this thing. Like either way.
Okay. Fair.
Wow.
But like it's genuinely one of those things where I'm just like this, like to put it. So I'll leave you with this little chestnut ahead of time. The main villain in that movie, I don't think you actually see him speak once on screen. He has lines. There are lines that he speaks throughout the movies. They're just all delivered either off screen or like
Right.
with his head facing the opposite way because they're all recorded afterwards. Like there's no shot of his lips actually forming words in this movie. And he's not in a mask the whole time either or something like that. Like it's insane.
Okay. Did
That
you at
sounds
least see his
terrible.
face?
Oh yeah, like he's a full-on character. Like, but like
my God.
they clearly had one performance where he was delivering everything, and they either went back and redubbed everything, or they just
I
changed
heard the
whatever
ADR is
his
like,
story is.
insanely bad.
Yeah, it's not even bad. It's just noticeable and like is genuinely in like 80% of the movie. It's insane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So new quick segment on this. If you had to throw that on the entropy list right now, where would it go? You get 10
I mean,
seconds.
it's like it's genuinely like it's near Justice League, Whedon
Okay.
League,
So
somewhere in
what's
there.
that? That's got to be like bottom 4.
Yeah, it's
or
bottom
something like
4,
that.
but like it's like I don't put it on the bottom because it's like it's almost just like I said, there's a weird part of me that's just like, what? This is so weird that like there's something about it that's compelling, but like it's not anything good. It's just
For sure.
strange.
For sure.
Speaking of strange, how about that intro segment? Now let's move on to the main review segment here. What we're all here for, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, welcome to our main review segment. Nathaniel, if the listener here is new, or maybe they've just forgotten, can you give them a rundown of how the review segment works?
What up, folks? If you're new or perhaps you've just forgotten, the way the review segment works here on Back Row Banter is it is split into 2 sections. There's the non-spoiler section, and then there's the spoiler section. It's pretty self-explanatory. In the non-spoiler section, we'll go over the movie's IMDb page, who wrote it, who's in it, all that good stuff. We'll go over its summary, see if we like that or not, and then go around and see if the squadron recommends the movie. Has to be a yes or no. There is no nuance on the internet. Then we'll go into spoiler mode. If you have anything that you don't want to have spoiled for you, go ahead and check out. But do come back where we ranks up on our entropy list, which is our big list of everything we've watched on the podcast ranked. Adam, tell me about, is it One Love Bob Marley or Bob Marley One Love?
Bob Marley, One Love.
There you go.
Gotta love a colon. Welcome, listeners. Of course, this is Bob Marley, One Love. New movie rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 47 minutes and an IMDb rating of 6.6 out of 10. Of course, this is directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green, who is returning to the pod. Do you guys remember what he directed? Take that as a no. He directed. Did you say something, Nathaniel? It didn't come through.
I did not know.
He directed King Richard, the Serena Williams and Venus
okay.
Williams biopic about
So
the
another
dad, Will
biopic.
Smith. Yes, correct. So he's where the podcast listeners may know him from. The story is written by Terrence Winter, Frank E. Flowers, Zach Balin, and Ronaldo Marcus Green. and it's a story by Terrence Winters and Frank E. Flowers. The cast includes, I'm mainly just gonna go with, we got Kingsley Ben-Adir is the man, Bob Marley, of course. He's been on the podcast before. He was one of the Kens in Barbie, is the main thing. Like I've seen on his acting credits, and then he's been in Secret Invasion. And then he's been in the OA, which was like a somewhat popular random Netflix series that I watched. And he's also in King Arthur: Legend of the Sword, which is a movie I've seen on this podcast as I'm looking through IMDb's. This King Arthur: Legend of the Sword has just sprouted all sorts of stars apparently, because there's so many people in that movie that I've just seen kind of pop up randomly since then. But I don't even want to go into that. That's a different deep dive for a different day. But yeah, he's Bob Marley. And then we got Lashana Lynch is Rita Marley, his wife, of course. And you might recognize her. She's in No Time to Die. She's one of the she's not a Bond. I don't think she's a Bond girl. She's like one of the tech people. She replaces Q, doesn't she?
No, she's
Or
double
she's like-
O. She's the other 007 or whatever.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot No Time to Die's plot, to be honest. It was so generic that I forgot it. So that makes sense. Excuse me as I take a sip of water. She's also Maria Rambeau in Captain Marvel.
Yep.
And the Marvels. She's she's in MCU as well. I might recognize her there. Those are our main two cast members. There's a bunch of other ones, but like they're not names I recognize.
Yeah, it's really
all that
just those
important.
two.
It's mainly those two, and they're the highest kind of tiered celebrities here, tiered actors, and they definitely have the most screen time. The IMDb summary for the film reads as follows: the story of how reggae icon Bob Marley overcame adversity and the journey behind his revolutionary music. Simple enough. I mean, the movie's called Bob Marley: One Love. I hope you could guess what it's about. It's about Bob Marley. In terms of it is a biopic. In terms of like what kind of biopic it is, it's not one where we're going beginning to end, where we see him grow up, we see him, get his first guitar or learn how to play the piano or the drums or like something like that. Like it is he's already established. Still, he's already very popular. Has already released some records, and it's kind of towards the latter half of his career. Mainly centered, kind of spoilers, I guess, but it's centered around the Exodus album, and I'll kind of leave it there. But if you want to get a time frame, if you're familiar with his career or research it, that is kind of the time frame that we're looking at. It's in late 1970s. I think when does the film start? Is it 77?
76 maybe?
76 or 77?
I believe it is
around there.
76.
Yeah. So that's kind of the time frame that we are looking at here, fellas. Of course, a new movie, first watch for everybody here. What are we thinking? I'm going to kick it to Nathaniel first, who during our Napoleon review stated how he's very over biopics. And here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Was it Napoleon or was it Ferrari? I think it was Ferrari.
One of the two.
That
It might
I
have been
was
Ferrari.
like, yeah, I feel a
It's Ferrari.
little biopicked out. Yeah, I mean, still similar. It's like I feel caught with biopics at the moment, where it's like they really can they serve two purposes, right? They either do kind of like a soft summary for someone who knows nothing about a historical figure or the figure of the biopic, and then or they do like you have to know a lot about them for it to make sense or something like that as well too, right? If you're just a man on the street coming into the movie, that is. And I feel like this movie itself like kind of splits the difference and tries to go for kind of like in the middle, where, as you said, there is like this, it kind of focuses on this 2-year period in his life, but it also includes kind of some flashbacks as well to previous parts of his life as well too. So, but it doesn't go out of its way to really try and explain who he is, where he is in kind of the context of the rest of Jamaica, or more like what Jamaica is going through around him. If anything, maybe it is focused too much on just him. But yeah, I don't know. I found it serviceable. I'm interested to know if he did any of the singing, or if it's actually just Bob Marley's like own recorded voice or songs themselves.
I had the same thought because I couldn't tell, and I'm kind of impressed no matter which the answer is, where like if it was him singing, oh, sounded pretty good and sounded like Bob Marley. But if it was actually like Bob Marley's vocals, I'm like kind of impressed that they were able to kind of isolate those out of the tracks and get those kind of sound, to match the sound of like the environments there and everything like that. So I'm impressed either way. And they had to have recorded. He had to have sung some lines during some of these scenes, where it's not like full tracks.
Or
There are a
I'm
few-
sure maybe on set he was doing it too or something.
yeah.
But yeah, I would be interested to find out.
I agree. Yeah, I'd be interested to know the answer to that question. But
I bet it's a pretty good mixture of both.
You think?
Yeah.
Probably.
I don't know. I'm sure everybody here has listened to Bob Marley songs.
Sure.
Like you know what his songs are. But if you have ever listened to it from like a studio standpoint, you can definitely tell that it's a little different. Like Bob Marley is one of those people that has one of those voices that is very, very, very hard to replicate.
Sure.
It's so unique that it's a lot. Like there are some of this where it absolutely had to be him.
Sure.
But yeah, I think they did a really good job being able to mask most of those parts.
But yeah, I think overall, I would say it's a recommend from me. Without it, with the understanding of like, you kind of know what you're in for if you've seen the trailers. I would say overall, yeah. I don't know. It's like it's interesting for me because it's one of those. Bob Marley is one of those figures that, aside from his music, I don't really know anything about him. I don't. I know him as a cultural figure. I know him as an artist, but I don't know really anything to his story or how he fit into the greater context of Jamaica or anything like that as well too. So
yeah,
I'm on one hand, like obviously I think the movie's well made and it's good to watch and everything like that, but at the same time, like there's always that little voice in the back of my head of being like, well, how close to reality are we getting here with a biopic or any historical figure like that, and the understanding that you can't really, sum one person up just in a movie or anything like that. There's always going to be something that gets shortchanged there, right? So
fair enough. Yeah, I would agree. I'm not someone who I'm not very familiar with his history, who he is as a person, what his significance is in Jamaica, in world history in general, and like how his music aligns with historical events. So going into this, I wasn't sure what to expect. I was gonna learn something about him. It just was a matter of like how much or where or what about. And I think they do a pretty good job of isolating the story, where I think a lot of times a biopic can get lost in trying to cover an entire person's life in under 2.5 hours. And instead I do kind of enjoy that fact that they give you a little bit of snippets to the past and to the lead up of all of this, but it's not where this story is focused. And the story they give you is very relevant to what his legacy ended up being. And you didn't get lost or bogged down, and they're trying to be too much there for everybody to kind of to pack in, So I think it does a good job of trying to get a tight story in a good runtime. Doesn't get bogged down by any of the kind of like extraneous details that we need, because I look at Ferrari had way too much extra stuff that I didn't really need, or it couldn't really decide where it wanted to go. I think this movie knows what it was going for. It knows the story that it wanted to tell. It knows the piece of Bob Marley's life that they wanted to tell, and they tell it. And I think they do a pretty good job. I much prefer this over Ferrari. I'll tell you that right now. If you've seen Ferrari, I definitely think this is the better biopic. It's pretty enjoyable, good watch all around. I'm definitely recommend. I think the acting's great too. Kingsley and Lashana are both fantastic. No matter which one of them is on screen, which like one of the two of them is on screen like for 95% of this movie. So, but when either one of them are on screen, I'm in. Yeah, I had a good time with this. I'm not quite as biopicked out as Nathaniel. I was feeling a little bit of that fatigue after Ferrari, but this is kind of like another one where I'm like, I don't mind it. these are good stories to tell. These are good people that I would like to know more about. So I'm on board with this, and if we can get consistent quality of biopics that are this quality, then I'd see a few more of these. But I'm a recommend. Blake, where you at?
Yeah, biopics aren't my favorite genre, right? Kind of echo the group here. So this is one I probably wouldn't be too pressed to see if it weren't for the pod. But overall, I mean, it was pretty good. I think I would echo Adam on enjoying it more than Ferrari. One, this film it's only like an hour 40 or something, which like I hate to be like
147.
the time guardian, right? But like that was like perfect for me not wanting to watch a biopic in the first place, and then going to one and it's under 2 hours. I was like, oh, cool,
Right.
I'm okay with that. So yeah, it's good. Some of the acting's good. There's not a lot of cast that most people are familiar with besides the ones that Adam highlighted earlier. And I was only able to point out one of those, and that was the female lead. I forgot her name, Rashonda something. And that was just from the
Lashana
No Time to
Lynch.
Die. Lashana, excuse me. And that was only from No Time to Die, right? Then everybody else was like, I don't know who any of these people are. So that's kind of cool to see in a biopic too. You almost don't want to see a lot of notable people. I would say it might take you out of characters, right? That you're first being introduced to. Yeah, overall, I'd give it a shot, right? Go watch it if you just kind of wanted to get out and catch a quick movie. It's not bad. It's not a popcorn flick, as we say. So we'll deep dive it a little more. But yeah, I'd give it a recommend.
Bless you.
Did I get muted or no?
No, you did.
You did, yeah. You made it.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, I'll just go.
I knew I muted. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, because yeah, but it was funny because I could see you do it, so I was like, still,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
gonna
you're
say
good.
it. Yeah.
It's a great bit for the audio listeners.
100%. But yeah, I'm on the recommend train. I can't by any stretch of the imagination say that I am an expert on Bob Marley, but I would say that I probably know a little bit more than majority of people that are going to see this movie. Actually, maybe I can't say majority because maybe this just doesn't appeal to some people at all, and this only appeals like to the Marley heads.
My audience it was two other couples, both boomers. So
Okay. Well, who knows?
who knows?
But yeah, I know a little bit about Bob. I got into a really, really big Bob phase for probably like the better half of 2 years. And just like reggae music genre in general. And it's been a pretty decent part of the on and off kind of rotation when I get a feel for it, or like when I hear a song I haven't heard in a while, I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of itches that scratch, or scratches that itch, whatever you prefer.
Or it's just the scratch.
Yeah.
It itches the scratch.
And yeah, so I think I'm a little bit more positive on this than you guys are. My gripes, and we'll kind of get into it, are because this is an hour and 47, but I'm on the opposite side of that. I guess I wanted to see like 3 hours of Bob Marley's life.
Okay.
And I feel like I just wanted more when I got done with it, and I just didn't get what I wanted. So I guess that's like my gripe on the opposite side. And then, yeah, a couple other things. But other than that, I'm a recommend for sure.
It's interesting as you say you were on the opposite side of that, because I kind of get where you're coming from. Where like I wish I maybe could have learned more, but at the same time, I think it's a fine line to run. Where if you add, say, another 30 minutes, what do the 30 minutes end up being? How much they add to the story? What
Yeah.
if you add to portions of his life, then does that mean you have to add an extra 45 minutes if you're trying to add extra 30? So I can see that for sure, but I think I'm happy with what we got at the runtime we got than them trying to make it longer just to add in information that may not have added to the story all that much. So,
Yeah, no, I think it's
Could go
smart
either way on that.
on their behalf, because they're like, let's make this thing fucking short and sweet, and like this is one of those situations where less is more for the people that are going to come out and watch this. And so I get it. I know I'm on the minority on it wanting it to be longer, but yeah, that's just me.
That's valid. Valid. All right. Well, I think that's a recommend all around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, seems like it.
Cool. Well, then, with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and head into spoilers. So if you have not seen Bob Marley, One Love, and do not want it spoiled for you, go ahead, check that episode description where I've left a timestamp you could jump to, where you'll be taken to the ranking of the movie up upon our entropy list.
Up upon.
Spoiler time, Nathaniel.
Got a nice applause in there for us.
Oh,
As our
I
spoiler
couldn't hear
noise.
anything.
That was rowdy as fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
almost like a Bob Marley concert.
Right, Blake? Yeah. I can
Honestly,
totally
you
hear
guys
that.
got to hear that.
Facts. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure.
If you go back and listen to the recording for any reason, for the both of you, that's the reason.
I mean, I have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, I usually play them at work.
There we go.
I throw them on, but after editing, after editing and recording, I haven't. Every once in a while, I'll go back to like an episode I want to hear again. But yeah, I usually already heard most of the episode twice. So anyway, I digress. Here we are in Bob Marley world. Where to begin? Oh, hang on.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, something just popped up on my computer.
You pausing for station identification?
No, I'm good if you guys
Yeah, we're good.
are good here. I think that was just on my end. Yeah, I don't know where to start here. I think what do you guys think about the portion of Bob Marley's life that they chose to show, which ended up being kind of towards the end of his life, as he died in 81, I think it said at the end of the movie, and
Yeah.
we see the 3 years up to it. I mean, do you guys like how they focused on this, just a certain portion of his career, rather than doing kind of a whole how he got started, how he got into reggae and stuff like that? Because I said it pre-spoilers that I enjoyed that they didn't have to focus on that, and I think to an extent I did, but also I do want to know those things. And like they kind of gave us a glimpse of like the Wailers going into the recording studio, that kind of thing. But I think I could have, I could see it go either way. What do you guys think about what we got from the movie?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like it comes again up to that question of like, are you here to make the biopic to inform or to entertain? And it's like this kind of weird, uneasy line that any biopic kind of has to walk in some ways. And I feel like the way that it chooses to go about it in this one is pretty economical, but it doesn't. I didn't ever feel like we were getting like deep into what made Bob a person or and that kind of thing. Like I feel like it kind of talked about it a little bit, but it and kind of it definitely went over this kind of traumatic period in his life. But at the same time, I didn't necessarily feel. I felt like I didn't know anything about Bob going into it, and I felt like I had a better understanding of who he was as a person, but I didn't feel any closer to the character or anything like that. Maybe is a better way of putting it. At the end of the day, I don't know. Am I just sounding completely confused and not making sense?
No, I mean I hear you.
No,
I think even going in, like I said, not being a big biopic guy, the movie kind of leaves a lot to be desired. Like I didn't feel like I left this understanding like who Bob Marley was and like what made him become the man he is, right? So I mean, it almost seems like, for lack of a better term, like this could have not just been a major distribution in like a TV movie.
Sure.
You know what I
okay.
mean? Maybe like a mini series or something like that. I feel like that probably could have sufficed a little better. Just because I don't really see what they capitalize on making this a large budget release.
Yeah, it's not like it's like it's there to like put you into the concert with him or anything like that.
Yeah,
right.
right.
It's more like this is a time in his life when he had to make these choices, and kind of like the way he went about it was like I almost feel like it's more like understanding him and his kind of philosophy with Rastafarianism as well too, and like kind of where how closely those were tied in with the music more than I realized. But other than that, like, yeah, to your point, Blake, it doesn't feel like there's a real crystal clear moment where it's like this is what it's wanting to say beyond just kind of like there was a concert at the beginning and then he came in at the end and did a concert again kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, he obviously, as they kind of ramped up to the Exodus album, he talked about how he wanted to be a very like movement centered piece.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Or a collection and piece focused and all that. But I agree. I don't know if I came away understanding where he gets that kind of mantra from, besides the Rastafarianism, which maybe that is kind of the point. But then I also don't think they touch enough on what about the Rastafari religion, like what about it is promoting so much peace and stuff like that. I never got a clear answer, I feel like, on what Bob Marley or why Bob Marley preaches what he preaches, don't know if that was ever fully kind of elaborated on.
It sounds like you all want more time.
I don't know if time's
you might be out of
necessary, but it's not. It kind of wanders, I feel like, rather than being very kind of clear with its aims overall.
I think from like a time frame standpoint too, I think this is the most marketable portion of his life.
Sure.
To the vast majority. Because at the beginning of this, they're really like he's really not famous over here yet, or in like the UK, or he's still really really iconic and big in Jamaica, but off the island, he still wasn't like huge, and so this is where you see the turning point in his life and his career, where you can almost see the fame kind of getting to him and taking over a little bit. And so I think this is where he kind of had his biggest turning point and started getting like the news interviews, or, where the magazines were writing stuff about him and stuff like that. So I think this, from a time standpoint, this is his most marketable era and the biggest leap he took in a short time period.
Yeah. And I think too, I guess, like, I think you're right. I think that totally makes sense in terms of why they like focus where they do focus. And obviously from like a filmic standpoint, having the assassination attempt in there as well too, as kind of like your first act opener kind of, bang, drop the needle, let's run kind of thing is interesting. It's also a movie I feel like where we have this big climactic blowout between him and Rita in like the second third of the movie. And she's like, yeah, well, I am doing everything that you are not doing at home, plus being a good soldier to the cause, plus being a wife to you. And it's like, yeah, all of those are great points and would be very interesting to see on film. We just don't really ever get a point of that either, other than just to have her say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I'll kind of bring that or tie that into another point. One of the things that you don't really see or get any kind of more information on is there are different scenes in this movie where he's picking up multiple kids, and they only really talk about, like, most people, the average person only thinks that Ziggy Marley is his like only child. He's got 6 kids. Yeah. And there was 6 different women.
And she says, I'm with, or even the ones that you don't, that are
exactly
not from me.
Yeah. And so those are some of the things that like I want a little bit more info on, or where I would think somebody would want a little bit more, like, because it does jump in sometimes and you're like, wait, why do they only talk about Ziggy then?
Right.
I'm soaking. Why is he the pinnacle? And I think that's also why Lashana's character was so tied in more as like his main partner is because,
Yeah.
and that's also why most people will say that Ziggy was like his favorite child.
Well, and if you look at it, Ziggy's I don't know about you, but my showing opened with a Ziggy addressing the audience,
Yeah.
and being
Yep.
like,
That was
this is it. And then I think Rita and Ziggy are both credited as producers on this one too. So obviously that's like it's coming from that side of the family as well too. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I had another point to go off of from there. Adam, Blake, what do you guys think?
Adam, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, no, I would agree with all those points. I do think it was like that was something that a coworker of mine had seen the movie over the weekend and was talking to me about it yesterday before I went to see it after work, and he was saying how like, oh, it's never really touched on that Bob Marley fucked anything that moved, like, and they don't really bring that up at all, and so. And I was like, oh well, I guess we'll see what is what they present us with, and like it is touched on barely. But I do think you're right. I think they played this up as this is an important relationship to Bob Marley, obviously, as we've kind of established. But and they have that kind of blow up fight, but you're right. There's no context for it really. We don't see. It was almost like a montage of like, oh, we're touring and
Yeah.
now we're here and there's strife, and like I've seen enough kind of movies where like, oh, once you hit a little bit more success in touring and stuff like that, the star is gonna get a little bit of an ego and all that kind of thing. But like we don't see any of that happen. So is that what happened? Was this going on before they went on tour? Like, I just that kind of came out of nowhere. It kind of felt like, oh, this is a thing that people should already know about, and we're just gonna touch on it and kind of move along. Whereas like, that could have added some interesting tension in terms of like the actual overall story. If they wanted to add 30 more minutes to the movie, and it was adding that kind of piece to it, where it's like, hey, because the whole culmination of his story ends up being, I have a lot of turmoil that I haven't gotten over, and I've kind of been trying to heal myself through my songs and heal by healing other people through my songs. And I think it would have added a little bit more of an emotional beat to the movie if we saw more of that turmoil in his relationship with Rita and that kind of thing, and maybe with his kids or whatever it ends up being. So I think that could have been an interesting thing that they could have played on a little bit more.
Yeah, and like I think you said too, there's the other character of Don, who is caught up in the assassination attempt as well, and then is later like Bob catches him basically skimming off of the top to
Yep.
try and get them into Africa. And like really what feels like a very out of character moment for the rest of the movie, kind of just loses his shit on him.
Right.
And then Don's like, I took 6 bullets for you. And and then it's just never really brought up again. Like it just says in the afterwards, like, yes, Bob eventually got to Africa, but like again, that's another kind of thing, moment of tension drama where I'm like, all right, well, tell me what happens. Do Bob and him reconcile? Do they not? Is this
Right.
is this a glimpse into a moment of character, or is it just, was it random? It's those things that kind of I think keep this movie from ascending maybe higher than I would hope for overall.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying movies have to make sense all the time or anything like that. Like, some of the best movies are just vibes based, but particularly with like a biopic, I feel like it's almost doing a disservice to the subject to kind of like handle it with kid gloves like that all the time, or kind of just gloss over some of those things and not dive into it. I don't know.
Well,
Go ahead.
you go ahead, Ty. No. Okay, I'm gonna change topics. Did you
I
got
am
something
too.
else you wanna...
Go for it.
Oh, you change.
I was just gonna say, did any of you know that he died from cancer, or did you guys think it was from something else?
For some
I
reason,
honestly had no idea how he passed.
For some reason, I always
Yeah,
thought it
I
was a
knew
heart
he-
attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I thought. I think once I heard it in the movie that it was cancer, I was like, that sounds right. Like I've probably heard
Sure.
that before, but it wasn't like going into it. I wasn't really sure exactly how it ended. So, I wouldn't say no. I didn't really know exactly.
I'm just like curious because I know that's like a common thing too. Like people just don't like. Some people think he was assassinated. Some people think that it was because of like all the smoking, and some people
Sure.
thought it was like obviously some kind of illness. So yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, I did not know. But Nathaniel, you mentioned earlier some movies are just gonna run on vibes. I would say the vibes here pretty immaculate.
It's
Pretty
true.
good vibes all around through the movie. I mean, obviously there's the political turmoil and all that stuff, but once that gets out of the way in the beginning, and they're kind of just moving on to like the actual music creation and touring and Bob being Bob, like there's some good vibes in this movie. Some good times, some good scenes where they're jamming. And he kind of just I do love those scenes. The one in the living room in particular, of course, where they kind of come up with the Exodus, the theme and everything. And then the concert scenes I think are really good. I saw this in Dolby, had to make sure I got to a good sound system for this one, kind of just knowing obviously a movie centered around music, I'm gonna want the best sound possible. So I had a good time in the Dolby theater. Definitely sounded great, great soundtrack and everything. But yeah, there's some good vibes here, and for the most part, the scenes where we're seeing Bob kind of being that free love and spirit are fun, and you kind of do get that persona comes off the screen a little bit, and I think it's a bit of a tip to Kingsley for kind of embodying that, because you kind of do feel the charisma coming off of him.
I feel you there.
So I was doing some research after this, and I thought I came across that I believe one of his children is actually in this, or has producer credits or something like that.
Yeah, Ziggy
anybody else
does.
read up on that? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so is it just one child has producer credits, or is it multiple?
From what I saw, it was Ziggy, and then it was Rita as well too.
Okay, okay, yeah, I thought I was seeing something on that. So I mean, that's pretty cool to be able to have family hands, right, indulge in something like this, because I feel like a lot of times you have biopics made up and it has simply nobody co-signing that shit, right, or nobody who
Right.
was actually there, a part of the actual directing, casting, producing, things of that nature. So at least they kind of did have their due diligence of how the family wanted the story to be portrayed to some extent.
Agreed.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Glad they had some people going for him. Yeah, any other big scenes or moments that we want to touch on here, folks?
Well, like kind of like picking up on the conversation where I was talking about earlier, where I was doing my Wikipediaing of Rastafarianism afterwards.
Oh yeah.
And like picking up on it. Well, one thing I didn't know and that I think is like very telling is that in Rastafarianism, like you don't have the word God, you use the word Jah instead, Jah, which once you realize that and you start looking at the movie, like you realize, oh, they are using it like every other word as well too. And then
that
like
I kind of picked up on just because I know Yahweh or Yahweh, and so I kind of linked those two together.
Sure.
I kind of assumed that's what they were referencing.
yeah, it's from again Wikipedia from the 5 minutes I took to read about it, earlier before the movie itself. Like it appears to be like it's very tied in with the teachings of a guy named Haile Selassie, who was the emperor of Ethiopia from 1930 to 1974. Rastafarians consider him basically like the second coming of Jesus. And so you see Bob like reading a lot from him. And then every time he talks about like the conquering lion and everything, and then the kind of the figure that his visions become, that's Haile Selassie, who like basically picks him up in his visions and takes him into the burning bush after, or the burning kind of like circle when the white father basically transforms into that one. So that like helped connect all of that together for me as well too.
Yeah, there was some interesting kind of filmmaking here where they had those flashbacks or like visions almost.
Yeah.
And so you could kind of see his father haunting him in terms of his inner peace through that, and as well as the during that first peace concert, the shooter was kind of haunting him, as the idea of his safety and everything.
Yep.
So I think those were used pretty effectively. Especially the like fire sequence, or the ring of fire, or whatever you want to call that. Definitely good there.
But yeah, it's
But I didn't know that.
yeah, it's interesting how the more you read about it, how truly tied in that was to it and everything as well. And it's like that religion and that kind of culture, how big that became on the back of Bob Marley's success as well too, I think, and just kind of everything that goes with it, which he references, like, to the film's credit. He talks about it, I think, a lot as well.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the way that the music was kind of integrated, where it was a lot of times kind of like quite literal, where he was like, he'd say a line and then it would be like redemption song starts playing, or like it would be
Sure.
like
Yeah.
Like they would just say the title of the song
yeah,
or like the chorus.
yeah, and then it would, or like he and his wife are fighting and No Woman No Cry like is the next song that they
Yeah.
talk about. Like it was very kind of like, it didn't feel like, aside from the Exodus scene, that like he was like they were making all of that music. It was more like, well, we're just gonna place it here and here and here
Sure.
because it ties together.
Maybe that's just a byproduct of having Ziggy and Rita's hands in it.
Sure,
Like,
yeah.
you know, when it was the No Woman, No Cry, she could have literally said, he literally came up with that song as soon as we had this altercation. Or, you know, like, you know, just like where
Yeah.
Ziggy was involved. He was like, no, I remember like that shooting happening and my dad writing this song and us sitting out by the fire after this, or, you know, something like that. So
Yeah.
maybe that's just a byproduct that we're just not used to, of them being so involved in
Could be.
where they are actually placed. But it did seem somewhat fabricated sometimes.
Yeah, it was a little on the nose. If it happened that often, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, it definitely makes it feel like he like kind of just walked around and then gained inspiration from the world and then would just write a song in seconds. Like, but and I like
Yeah,
again, I think the Exodus scene is really great, where they're kind of like
The Exodus
figuring
scene
it
is great.
all out together, and like he's like, I want to do it this way, just hit me with a single drop or whatever, and just kind of works the song together. I thought that was really cool. It reminded me of like some of those scenes in that Beatles documentary from a few years ago, the Get Back or whatever.
Back?
Yeah. Where they
It
just
did.
kind of they figure out a song together at the same time. But yeah,
That documentary
it
is
was
incredible.
it was contrasting with some of the other times where it was just kind of like picks up the guitar and is ready to go.
Yeah, I thought it was a good bit with the guitarist that they picked up, the English guitarist.
Yeah.
I liked that kind of bit that they had with his audition and then his character.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
think
don't know.
that was a cool scene too. I think that really shows how he kind of changed the Rastafarian like reggae kind of genre, and where he tried to implement new things to give it a new sound that is so well known for being like what today's standards of like what the quintessential reggae kind of twang is. And so I thought that was a really cool scene too, to implicate that
And
and kind of his brain around how music works for him. And
you also get kind of other hints of that when you kind of see him interacting with the rest of the band, where they just kind of become part of like his crew, and like they're all jogging together in the mornings. And
Skippa.
they're all going out to
yeah.
play
Yep.
soccer and everything. And like that's almost another area what I would have liked a little bit more ground to cover or something like that, is kind of his relationship with those guys and really how he built the Wailers or anything like that around him. But you know, happy for the movie we got. Don't really need to talk about the movie that's not there.
yeah, I'm just gonna keep poking at the bear here. And,
No,
know,
I
you
hear
guys, you guys want more time.
You might have convinced me. Might be wrong on this one. All right. Any other big points here, fellas? Are we good to get out of spoilers?
No, I think I'm good. Let's see where it ranks next to other biopics we got on here, right? It's the first thing we're gonna do.
Yeah, my only last thing is obviously the last concert that you see on screen, the big piece concert. Like the world would be a better place if Bob Marley is still around or was still around, and I truly
absolutely.
believe that. To be able to say that you got two people that were ready to start a civil war, to get on the same stage and shake hands in front of hundreds of thousands of people and actually start some kind of trail of peace between two very opposing people is absolutely incredible. And the dude was an absolute genius around music and what he stood for. And yeah, I love Bob Marley. So that's just like my last little piece.
Amen to that.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
All right. Well, welcome back, listeners who skipped over the spoiler segment of the podcast. We're gonna go ahead and throw Bob Marley up upon the entropy list. For those of you who do not know, the entropy list is Back Row Banter's official list of all the movies we have reviewed, regardless of genre, regardless of anything else, all on one fantastic list. If you want to see the entropy list for yourself, you can do so by checking that episode description where it is linked to my Letterboxd. Let's see here, fellas. We're entering Bob Marley, One Love. Entry 178 upon the entropy list. Let's see.
So
Where'd Ferrari land on this?
Ferrari is at 126, which is our most recent biopic.
Napoleon
is at 115. And then
just had okay.
Yeah, you got Straight Outta Compton there at 121. And then I think it's really...
We're not very high on biopics here, fellas.
No, not... you got American Gangster up at 95.
Okay.
And then it's really going to be, unless I'm missing much, kind of that until you get to kind of like, I don't know, Black Hawk Down is up there. Judas and the Black Messiah is
Did we
obviously
say
I wouldn't
Napoleon
say
at
Black Hawk
115?
Down is a Black Hawk, or I wouldn't say Black Hawk Down is a biopic necessary.
All right. And then, like, again, Oppenheimer, 17. Killers of the Flower
Okay,
Moon.
Oppenheimer, we can give that. That's a Oppenheimer. Killers, I wouldn't consider that biopic.
Okay,
would I?
well, Oppenheimer.
that's just based on true events.
Those are bio time periods, Nathaniel.
My bad.
Come on.
Well, Oppenheimer's definitely the highest ranking at 17 then.
Yeah,
And then obviously
that I'll give you.
John Wick, the other biopic that's on there as well
Right.
too.
Right.
Training
That's neither
Day.
here nor there.
Some other biopic.
Yeah.
Can you consider Dunkirk? No, it's a historical event again. Okay.
Yeah, that's
I don't
bio
think
time
those
period.
characters are real.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the men in Dunkirk are. I don't know if the
events are real.
I see what you're saying.
The events are real. The characters we see on the screen,
I'm
we're
pretty
not
sure those
based
actors are
on
real people, man.
Yeah. That's not
It's
CGI.
AI. It's AI. I promise you, it's all AI.
Christopher Nolan doesn't do that.
No, he's lying to you. It's all a conspiracy.
The other
trust me.
biopic, The Rock. All right, I'm done with this bit.
All right. Well, I think Napoleon is kind of a good benchmark. As like we're not going all the way up to Oppenheimer with this one, fellas. I can safely say that. But Napoleon as kind of another benchmark biopic, above or below, is kind of my question.
I think I'm in that kind of range. I think I'm gonna be below. I think I would be above The Notebook, below Evil Dead Rise, and for context, that is above Tenet and above Straight Outta Compton. So that would be 119. I would be putting this one at.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that your final ranking?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, that's 20 above his last one, which is 139, King Richard.
Okay.
But there's other movies I like even American Gangster. I don't think this is better than that, and that's at 95, right? Like. And then, I mean, I'm sorry, but this isn't gonna beat the little horror alley that we have there with all the Strangers, Scream, Die Hard, Trick or Treat, Us. You know, those are just movies that I like better than this one.
That's a literal murderer's row.
Exactly. So yeah, then it gets to Napoleon, which again, it's great movies around there too. Top Gun, Insidious, Evil Dead Rise, and then that's where it kind of, Notebook, Tenet, also great movies, but I think that's really where I'm feeling right now. So 119 for Bob Marley.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm a little lower. You're right. So I went to Ferrari King Richard, kind of bouncing around there. I think I ultimately like this more than King Richard, but I think what's actually my hard cap is going to be that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. I cannot put this film above that. Where that's a film, I kind of went back. I want to say I watched that on the plane traveling for work a few months back, and I forgot how good of a film that is and how enjoyable it is. So I can't put it over this, and I probably couldn't put it over Straight Outta Compton or Tenet. So I think where I'm going to cap it at is I'd put it above Min. I'd probably put it above Min, below Ferrari, just because Min's very to be honest with you, forgettable. I'll probably never watch it again. So I'm gonna settle at
There are things in Men I will never forget.
Yeah, but
I don't know about you.
Are you gonna watch that film again though?
No,
Never.
No, I'm
Right.
not.
Yeah, right. So I mean, I think I'd cap it at 127. This and Ferrari is very close, but I've already sacrificed to put this over like Bodies, and a few other things. So it's hard to piece it. But yeah, we'll put it there.
Okay. I'm struggling because you pointed out that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and I'm thinking,
It's a great movie.
Thinking differently. It is. It is.
That'd be so good.
It is really good.
The Outside.
And Blind Spotting and The Blackening are all down there, and I think those movies could get raised up a little bit. Those three
The Blackening's a movie that I consistently forget exists, but it's very funny. Like,
did
did that movie ever come out on like DVD or anything,
yeah,
or like
there's
streaming?
4Ks.
Is
There were
it really?
4Ks at Best Buy before they axed all DVDs. Rest in
That's pretty
peace.
great.
Rest in peace.
But yeah, they had 4Ks for it. They got a 4K release.
It's got to be streaming somewhere, right? You'd think.
I don't know. You'd think.
It's gonna be on Tubi. Everyone.
I saw it twice in theaters. It was great.
The Blackening is for sure on Tubi. You're 100% right.
It will be.
Yeah, if it's not
So,
now,
yeah,
it will
right.
be.
If it's not there right now, give it fucking.
You know what? I gotta say the we're stepping outside here real quick where we're getting everything ranked up on the Entropy list, but Peacock coming in hard for
Really?
second place in terms of just their horror variety. They got a lot of stuff on there, man.
They do.
Like
See, I don't have it. I don't have Peacock.
They've made they're the only other streaming service besides Tubi that's made the brilliant choice to have movies from before 2000 on there. And so
Right.
like you can actually find cool stuff, and it's not just the same 150 movies that I've seen on streaming
On every other
services
streaming services.
for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Like
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I like Peacock. Between football
it's weirdly-
and all the wild shit you can find on there,
And it's cheap.
yeah,
It's $5.
the cock is getting better.
Oh
Good.
boy,
It's only
Good.
$5.
Yeah.
is this?
That may actually be enough for me to go ahead and enroll in that. To be honest with you.
I think the ads version is like
And
$4
Blake,
or $5.
You can get all the
and non-ads is
WWE
like
you
10.
ever wanted.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
also cool
yeah.
because like we have the ads version, but it only shows like one big ad at the beginning.
That is true. Yeah.
And
like,
then you're done.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever. I
Yeah.
got 2 minutes to get up and get some water or some
it's
shit.
also- you can mute
Right, for sure.
100%.
it. Yeah. Anyways, back to Entropy
Anyways,
list.
Ty, do you know where you're putting this?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I would just like to point out for the record that the better Murderers Row is 97, 98, 99, and 100. It's X, The Menu, Last Night in Soho, and Halloween.
2018.
And if you want to go even further than that, you can include Prey before that, and you can also
that is
include
the
Strangers.
Murderers Row that I was referencing.
Oh, okay. I thought we were referencing.
From Conjuring 2 all the way up to like Prey.
Oh, okay, I thought we
That's-
were just talking about Scream.
No, I was
and
bouncing
Us.
around there.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
I mean, yeah, there's a whole
'Cause then you
little-
get even
No
higher.
love for the Descent, Malignant.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Barbarian Row?
you get a little
I mean,
higher, and
that's-
you get
that is
That's some hits.
and the
that
true
is-
terrifying
yeah.
soul,
Yeah, facts.
and the Fablemans above it.
Yeah.
Also, Can't forget about Creed.
All right, Ty, where are you putting it?
Creed 3.
Creed thread.
Creed.
Thread.
Where is your
I do like this movie a lot. I do think that this movie would benefit from getting like another 45 minutes to an hour. I would watch it if it was 3 hours. I'd probably enjoy it a little bit more. Hard cap, Trick or Treat.
Oh my god!
It's just
There we go.
it's a phenomenal movie, and I don't think this is better. And I think that's from also a nostalgic output, and that we are sick human beings and have an obsession with horror movies. And most of the time, if there's a movie going up against a horror movie, the horror movie is probably going to win. And then I look at Us, and Us is also one of those ones that is not necessarily off the beaten path, but it's not what you always expected as a horror movie. It is a very good movie. I thoroughly enjoy it. So I am going to be just under Us, above No Time to Die, and be at 110.
Boom.
110 for Ty. I'm torn because I'm telling you, Blackening, Blind Spotting, Turtles those three are tripping me every week now. Because and the Notebook is also right there where I'm like, oh, I really like the Notebook. But then like the rest of these movies above that, between those movies and like I'm looking all the way up to The Last Duel, where I'm like, oof, there's some movies I'd put this over. I will take the middle ground then,
That's fair.
because I don't want to put it too high above those movies. Because what I really want to do, I'll just say this so I can get this out of my system. I really want to put it above The Last Duel because that movie blows.
You're wrong. You're just wrong.
And I'll ignore you. And I really want to
move
put
on.
it above The Last Duel. And but like there are other movies below that one that I can't put this above. With that being said, I'll split the difference kind of, and I think I'll just land. Ty, I'm gonna land with you, bud. We're gonna get it at 110.
You're
Below Us, above No Time to Die. I don't think
Man.
No Time to Die is very special.
I'm so fucking smart.
So is everyone going this over TMNT, or is that just happenstance?
I don't want it. Yeah, it's just happenstance. I don't want it
Okay.
above TMNT. In fact, TMNT, Blake, we might have to discuss, has to go up on.
Oh, for sure.
on the
I
review in
agree.
July. We might have to.
I
team up
agree.
here. But yeah, it's not by choice, but it kind of has to happen. There's some other movies I can't have this below.
I'd probably have to give
Had a good time
I'd
with
probably
this.
have to give TMNT and like a rewatch, because for me, that's just not the Teenage Mutant Ninja shows I grew up with. The live action movies are untouchable. I think those things are fucking gold. And you can't change my mind. And so not
That's
that this
pure
wasn't
nostalgia talking,
not that
but-
this wasn't good.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 33 talking.
Yeah.
Not that this movie wasn't good. I think it was good. Maybe I just need to rewatch. I do remember there being a lot of funny stuff, and they do kick back references to the old movies. So I'm very, they do good fan service. So maybe I'll have to give it a second watch, but I just didn't connect with that one as much. So I think that's why I don't necessarily look at that as like a gatekeeper for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what are we watching? Did we get this? Did we get it ranked?
116 is our final ranking, meaning we would have to go above or below Top Gun here. I'm above personally.
Oh, below Top Gun for me.
Oh, the original.
Yeah, but even then.
I'm above. I don't need stock footage of planes.
It's a big call, bro.
It's how they made the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the movies that does have a nostalgia kind of bone in my
I
body.
don't.
You
So,
could never wear
so that's-
aviators again if you put this above.
I mean,
Top
Tom
Gun.
Cruise playing volleyball on the beach with no shirt,
He's writing checks his
Yeah.
body can't cash.
dude. Goose, watching Goose die for the first time.
Great Balls of Fire.
R.I.P.
I mean, I'm gonna have to go below Top Gun.
Blake, where are you falling?
I'd go below.
Okay. I'm not mad.
I was going through my head the entire time. Couldn't let down my boy
Fair.
Tom like that.
Fair enough.
King of movies,
What's-
Tom Cruise.
What honestly may be a little too high in that row is The Last Voyage of Demeter.
Yes. Thank you.
Like in hindsight, looking up here, like
I don't know. I had a lot of fun with that movie.
I like that movie too.
Dracula on a fucking boat.
Dracula on a boat. You got Black Van Helsing.
All right, Blake, here's what we're going to
Dope.
do. Come July, you move Turtles up, I'm moving Voyage the Meter down, and we're going to solve all of our problems.
Yeah, that should help. That should help.
That should help. All right, Bob Marley, One Love, 117. That is the end of the review segment. Our next review segment, are we good for Moonlight, boys? That was discussed loosely last week. I just want to make sure we're all good on the Moonlight
Is there
train.
something else coming out this week that would be opposing that? Not that I can think of, right?
Don't know for sure.
Oh, it would have been. No, yeah. Because
Dune
the
is
next thing
next
is the next thing
weekend?
is the Dune. Yeah, and I was like,
Yeah, and
earlier
we were
today I
almost
was like,
gonna be able to see it.
Earlier today, I was like, we should really rewatch Dune before the new one. I was like, wait, we did this for the podcast.
We already reviewed it. Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% rewatching Dune.
I'm still
and
gonna
you
watch
guys
it. Yeah,
haven't.
I've watched Dune probably like almost 10 times now since it's come out.
I've
Really?
been,
Dude, I
have not-
love that fucking movie.
All right.
Favorite Denny V?
I'm getting through it, boys.
It's fucking up there, dude. It's got a very,
I-
very good press to be #1 Denny V for me until this one
I'm
comes out.
determined.
Adam's holding a book.
Determined to finish. I'm determined to finish. It's the Dune.
I
It's
see
the
that.
Dune.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm determined to finish Dune. I have about 200 pages left.
Dune book
It's-
1. I mean, is there like 15
Yeah.
of those?
Yeah, there's 6 to the actual series, and then there's a bunch of anthology books, I guess. I don't know. And apparently, Frank Herbert died before he actually finished writing the main series, so I don't
Uh-oh.
know if there's an actual ending. I don't know. I don't know what I've gotten myself into. I looked it up because I'm like, I only have 200 pages left. There's a trilogy of films, and like 400 pages. It took me 400 pages to get to where the first movie ends. And yeah, I don't know. So the third movie, I guess, is the second book.
Is there going to be a third
I don't
movie?
know.
I thought it was just the second
Yes.
one. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
It's a trilogy.
Yeah, that's
Here we
why
go
I
again.
said.
I somehow missed
I
that.
didn't know.
No, that's
So
why by the
now
time I
I
said we
don't
were
know
done
what
with these movies, this could be like this generation's like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. Like this movie has the ability to be fucking
Yeah, for sure.
epic.
We'll see.
I think it's going to be. I'm very excited.
Go
I will
back,
definitely
go
be
back
watching
to
that.
Dune episode 1 and hear me out. I said it there. It's why I love when I say things on here and they come to fruition because it can happen and it just I'm right. I'm right about this.
Dune is episode 76.
I went back to
Back Row
episode
Banter.
1. He did not talk about Dune.
Not episode 1.
All right, folks.
Are we sure we don't want to see Jason Statham in The Beekeeper?
I mean, I'll
Boss
do
saw it. He
Beekeeper.
said it was pretty good.
Do we want to do Madam Web?
I wouldn't put Blake through that.
No, like I said, I will. Yeah,
Blake's calling in sick now.
yeah.
He's
Like
like,
I said, I
I
don't
don't.
think you
I
can
already
waterboard
don't
me
feel
for
good for
one
next
second.
week. I'm not gonna be able to record, guys. I'm sorry.
I don't think I could put Blake. I don't think I could consider myself Blake's friend any longer if I did
No,
that.
yeah, that'd be like a blatant misuse of friendship.
Yeah, man, the superhero film.
Weirdly, there's not very much superheroing that happens in that.
I can't imagine that there is.
That's even more nuts, right? Like when you think of it that
It's
way.
more her just hitting people with cars. Like, it's closer to a Fast and Furious movie.
I gotta see this now.
All right. Well, the question remains. What are we trying to review here?
We can do
Are
Moonlight,
do we wanna
yeah, or
Moonlight, or do we want to do Beekeeper? Whoa.
High voltage.
Crank High Voltage. Sure. I think that's the second one.
Adam,
That is the second
You
one.
know what
Sequel to
crank
High
voltage
Tension?
is? No, it's not. That's pretty funny though. It's
It
Crank
could
is
be.
a Jason Statham fucking early, maybe mid 2000s.
Oh no, Crank rules.
Packed,
Yeah. No,
yeah, action packed, fucking balls to the walls. Your man's action film.
The premise of
Jason
Crank,
Statham.
Adam.
He's got to stay cranked up on adrenaline.
yes.
Because they put something in his heart.
No,
So
they
he just
swapped
goes
his heart.
through.
Didn't they
Oh,
give?
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I
they
was
gave him
I
like
forgot.
a different heart or something. Or no, they gave him
Yeah.
the Bangkok
Like-
cocktail or whatever is what they
it's
call
like
it.
Yeah.
It's like a
Like the Iron Man shit. He
Yeah.
took his heart out, put some other shit in there, and he's got to stay cranked on adrenaline. Like there's a scene where he just like bangs a lady outside in public.
Yeah,
It's just it's
the
such
whole
a nuts
premise.
film.
It's speed,
nuts
but in the
film.
human body. You have to keep your
Yeah.
adrenaline up the whole time. So he's just doing crazy things to keep his adrenaline going while he's trying to
For
find
sure.
the people
And he's a
that
hitman.
that
Right, so
have
yeah, right.
done this to him.
That sounds terrible.
it's shit that put Jason Statham on the fucking
Yeah,
map.
you
dude.
respect
for
your
sure.
elders.
For sure. For sure.
I don't want to watch that.
And the second
all right.
one,
You really should. I actually think you'd find some kind of enjoyment out of it.
yeah, it was like that was Bullet
What's it
Train
called?
before Bullet Train.
Crank?
Yeah, the
Crank.
original one,
Yeah,
Crank.
you don't get John Wick without this movie.
Oh, facts. Facts. You don't get John Wick without this, for sure.
Professional assassin Chev Chelios learns
Yes.
his rival has injected him with a poison that will kill him if his heart rate drops.
They don't make them like they used to. Like what
No,
more do
they
you
really
need?
don't.
Like-
They really don't.
Yeah,
How long was that
we've
movie,
been
Adam?
searching
You
for the
said one
perfect description on
1
IMDb,
hour
and we
and
just
28
fucking found it.
Yeah, an hour and 28 minutes. Is
This
the
movie
runtime. That's
screams
gold.
2006. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, it's got that hand cranked filter on it where everything looks like it's like in like 40 frames a
Yeah.
second. Everything's yellow for some reason.
Yeah, it's way too yellow. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. I do have to watch this. I take it back. It's
That's funny as hell.
6.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
I told you, man.
All
Crank
seriously,
rules.
Higher than
Do we
Bob
want to
Marley.
switch this to Crank? Do we want to switch to Crank at all? Seriously? I'm on board.
Are we going Crank next week?
I'm fucking down.
I love Crank.
I'm
Man.
on board.
Wait. Is this on Peacock?
Crank's on the cock. Of course it is.
God. Hang on, I'm trying to verify, but it might be on
Let's do it,
Peacock.
bro.
And if it is, we might have to watch it.
Only to be followed up by Crank 2, High Voltage.
Yeah, right. I was like, if we do that, we might as well. Fucking.
Wait, there's a sequel to
Oh yeah.
They just crank it up a notch. No pun.
It is.
intended.
It's on Peacock. I can watch now.
There
I'm
it
watching
is.
Crank. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, screw Moonlight. La La Land's the better film anyway. It should have won Best Picture.
Wow.
So, I actually don't know about that. I love Moonlight.
But it doesn't matter. We're
Yeah.
calling an audible. We're doing Crank.
Watch Crank. It's on Peacock, and I'm sure you can rent it. Yeah, and then join us for our review of that next week. Okay, fellas, we're running long on time, and it's late. Do you guys just want to wrap it up here?
That's fine. Only thing
Yeah.
I want to talk about, unless you guys have something real quick, is Borderlands trailer came out. Go watch it. I'm not sure if you like Borderlands, if you're a fan of the
I
video
haven't seen
game.
it.
Yeah, I watched that.
I'm kind of on the middle of the road from what the trailer showed me. I'm a little more positive than negative on it,
Yeah.
but yeah, we don't do trailer talk anymore, and I think this is one of the bigger ones for especially for video game fans. So yeah.
Yeah, the what was I gonna say? I said best case scenario. I feel like you get a Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Like that would be like ideal for what that movie would
That's
be.
what I've
Yeah.
seen some comparisons to.
It seems
and I'd be
very,
down for that. I had a great time with that movie.
That movie's
Yeah.
awesome.
It seems very Dungeons and Dragons with a twist of like Guardians.
Yeah. Just for the listeners as well too. Apparently, there's a new game out called Helldivers 2.
I have it. I'm on the
Ooh.
game right now.
Yeah, I watched Starship Troopers because everyone was talking about that game being Starship Troopers, and then that caused all film Twitter to
It
talk
is.
about Starship Troopers again. So I watched Starship Troopers again.
Nice.
Still great.
And I say I'm
always
on the
will be.
game just because the queue times are so long that
Yeah.
last night took me an hour, and I was planning on playing a game of it after this podcast recording, and so I didn't know how long it was going to take. But yeah, I have Helldivers 2 open just because I wasn't sure how long. I'm in though. I'm ready to play. as soon as
Also-
this is over.
Nice.
True Detective season 4 finished it this morning. I
Yeah?
liked it.
Nice.
Yeah, I liked it.
Out of
That was
10?
cool. 6.5, 7.
Okay, not bad.
6.57.
6.57. Yeah, 6.75. No, I think like I don't know. I'm a
Seems
big fan
bad
of
for True Detective.
I'm a big fan of most of the True Detectives, but like I think like season 1's like a 9 out of 10. It's nearly perfect. Like it is just that
It's
good.
close to 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Season 2 I would say would be like a 6. And season 3, I would say, would be like a 7.5, 8. I think this is kind of like in between there as well too. Really reminds me, or not reminds me, but like same quality as season 3, which I really like season 3 as well too. So cool setting.
Okay.
Jodie Foster's great. Callie Race, was a boxer and now is an actress, she was amazing. I have no idea where she came from or anything like that, but she's awesome. Really cool. Like I said, the setting, having it up in Alaska during those however many days of night that they have up there is really, really cool. So, and John Hawkes MVP as well too. So, yeah, that's what I've been watching real quick.
Cool. I'll give listeners a bit of a cliffhanger for next week. I've watched episode 1 of the Halo TV show season 2.
Oh.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Me too.
I'm not gonna say anything.
I forgot about
And
that.
I'll probably watch more before next week's episode. But be prepared for me to talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk too.
All right, get ready, Ty, because
Hilarious.
I'm not gonna say much more. Okay. Yeah,
Blake, you got any like quick notes or anything real quick?
Yeah,
You
you
want to
got
go, Blake?
anything
Anything?
Not that I saw. Actually, yes, I did. I got to 2 things this week. I don't know if anybody's seen any of them. Maybe might be on Nathaniel's radar for some horror stuff. But the Hell House LLC films, I watched the latest one. Came out, I want to say about 3 months ago.
Oh, was it the 3rd one?
That's the 4th one.
Oh,
the
wow.
4th one.
Okay, no, I didn't know that new one had come out.
Yeah, and honestly, probably the best one since the first.
Damn. Okay.
To be honest with you, pretty good. It's got they're all found footage, right, in the premises. These people, they go to a haunted location, and they're ghost hunters. So it's cliche found footage thing, right? But they do it pretty well. It's not a ton of jump scares. There's actually a really scary and eerie piano song in there and a clip that somebody's playing. And it's kind of got some melodic stuff in the background, but it's just very eerie and creepy. It'll sit with you for a few hours afterwards. But yeah, so that's it. I got to that. And then I got to, let me pull up my Letterboxd really quick. I got to, what was it? I got to Deadstream. Deadstream is is that familiar with you, Nathaniel?
I feel like I saw it like on Shudder or like Tubi or something like that. Like, yeah, advertised at one point.
Yeah, so Deadstream's a 2022 horror that's been on my list. Another found footage joint. Just kind of did cheap horror films this week. They're all about an hour and a half a piece. But yeah, Deadstream is basically a guy, goes to a haunted house, but he's a YouTuber, so it's very grounded like where we're at today.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna go stay in this haunted house and live stream it the entire time. So it's very campy and funny.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Evil Dead, like Evil Dead 2, Army of the Dead, things of that nature. Very slapstick funny. Yeah, good film. If you just wanted to put something on, that's a really cool film that could probably pass in October when you're doing like a Halloween binge marathon and you got somebody over like, hey, you want to watch a movie? That's the one you put on because it's not scary and it's very campy and funny. So yeah, that's about the only 2 things I got to. And yeah, I have to finish True Detective. 2 episodes left on that, so I should be able to give a recap of that next week.
Cool.
That's
All
it.
right. Let's get on out of here. Please share the podcast. Share with a friend, a family member, maybe a fellow Rastafarian or a member of your band, maybe a whaler or 2. I don't know. And then while you're doing that, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at Banter Row, on Instagram at Back Row Banter Pod, and on which one I leave out? YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
YouTube is Back Row Banter. And then our email is backrowbanterpod@gmail.com. Let's kick it over to Tyler Dallas. Where can the people find you at, my man?
Hopefully the stream will be going back up at some point when Lee and I find a house, so we'll get back to that. And then
are you getting a stream room?
It depends. I mean, I'm definitely going to use one of the bedrooms as kind of like my office as I currently do if it doesn't have a basement. But if there is a basement with kind of finishing potential or is already finished, then yeah, we'll definitely figure something out. So
gotcha.
So yeah, and then Twitter, not Twitter. What am I saying? X. Letterboxd, and Instagram all Tyler Dallas via the alias Nathaniel.
You can find me on Twitter because you still put it in twitter.com and it takes you there. Instagram, Letterboxd.
Genuinely didn't know that.
At Nathaniel G92 or NS Gingrich. Figure it out. Sandpiper types is my other podcast. Blake.
Instagram, Mr. Watercoolers, Letterboxd, BlakeHolder, PlayStation, Xbox, Mr. Watercoolers. I'm on there playing Mortal Kombat. I've gravitated back towards the MK11, the MK1.
Wow.
That game is just not, man. It's, as the kids say, it's not hidden, right? It's not a banger. It's not a banger. So we'll see. Few patch updates. Maybe they'll get things going. But yeah, just very unbalanced game. Slow on putting out new content. Peacemaker does come in there, I want to say next week. And that'll be the first new character they put in there in about 7 weeks, which is about 2 weeks longer than usual. So I think once they get Peacemaker in there, I'll probably be able to. I'll probably download again and give it a shot. So we'll see.
That's hilarious.
And that
Is it
is
John
voiced by
Cena?
John Cena.
Dude, that's so
It's voiced
awesome.
by John Cena. Yeah. So they are good for shit like that. They're just fucking slow on the game.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they're so slow on MK1. So
Assholes.
we'll see. Yeah. That's all I got. Adam.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at H24 and on Letterboxd at H, where I'm keeping up. Ladies and gents. My Letterboxd past, however many weeks, it's been up to date. The credits rolled on Bob Marley last night. I didn't get up from my seat and I had Letterboxd open.
Boom.
Hey.
Feeling proud of myself.
Growth.
Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It is growth. So yeah, follow me there. You'll see some updates on what I've been watching. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it here for episode 181. It's a palindrome episode, everybody. Can we get some applause, Nathaniel?
Woo! Yeah.
We love palindromes. 181. That's gonna do it here. Join us next week for our review of Crank.
Crank.
Dude,
Hell,
I'm
and
low key
we'll,
so excited.
Yeah, low key me too. This is the most excited I've been for a time. Just because it was really.
I have no
really
idea what
randomly
to
put it on there,
expect.
out the blue.
Hey, those are sometimes the fun ones. Okay, yeah, check out Crank and join us for a review next week. We'll be RB.
America. Ready for another lesson.
Looks like Adam's rocking a new little. No, do you have a new setup or something's new in your setup right now, right? Or maybe I'm just seeing it in a bigger view because I'm watching it on Tyler's monitor and not my laptop
you-
screen.
It looks like you're mirrored
I think you're
almost.
watching it. I think this is how it usually is. I haven't touched my camera settings at all.
Weird. I think that's once you pointed it out, that's the only thing that made it look weird to me. Is it looks like you're mirrored.
I think you were just facing a different direction.
Is your bed on the other side at school?
At school, it would have been over my left shoulder. At
Weird.
school too. Well, actually, you know what? It might have unmirrored itself because
Oh, maybe that's it.
I remember at school it was mirrored and I couldn't figure out how to unmirror it. I don't know. So I just turned on my camera. That's all I
Unmirror
did.
yourself, bro. Sounds like a 2005 game advertisement.
Y'all ever play Mirror's Edge?
No,
Yes.
I remember the.
game is
Oh
so
man, that game was so good.
I remember the.
So
That's one of
good.
those ones I remember the cover though. Like
sure.
at like Blockbuster. Like
Yeah, for sure. Classic game, dude. What year is that? That's got to be like.
mid-thousands,
09?
right? Mid-thousands.
You think it's that late? Nah, I'm thinking like 07.
Yeah.
Speaking of old
It might be
games,
07.
They
I
may
guess
have
old,
made.
is that an old game? Yeah,
make
that's what
two
we're
of
talking about.
those.
Mirror's Edge.
Mirror's
Yeah,
Edge.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely 360 generation. 360 PS3.
I believe
09.
so.
I called it.
That's right.
09.
January 09.
And then they made the sequel.
Well,
and I heard the
November
sequel's not good.
2018. Excuse
They
me,
made a
November
sequel?
2008.
I never even knew that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Mirror's Edge Catalyst came out in like 2016.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I remember. That so first one
yeah,
November
2016.
2018.
I'm on
Catalyst,
fire, baby.
2016. Yeah, you're rolling, bro.
I didn't even.
I'm surprised you played those. Was that like through your brothers, or
Uh,
is this like at
that
that
was
age? I mean, at that
through.
age, you're probably playing video games, right?
That
'Cause
was
that's you
like
at 9.
Noah Zero. That was like Noah, my best friend Owen, my best friend Owen from growing up.
It's
He
Noah minus
and
one.
I, no, yeah, Noah's minus one
Well,
exactly.
even cooler.
Um, and he played that game and introduced it to me, and then I think I rented it from the library back in
For
the day.
sure. Yeah.
That's so funny.
360.
I was
And-
never my era was never rent a game from the library.
No, it's Blockbuster.
Well, I didn't have. Yeah, I was like in elementary and middle school, so we just go to the library and rent a game or two.
Yeah. No, I get it.
But yeah, and then, like that's a game I got done, and you can get that game done in 6 or
A
8
weekend,
hours.
right,
yeah.
It's
yeah.
quick.
Yeah, that
it's a
game was
quick
awesome.
Yeah, that game is really fun.
Hey,
The
so I
second
was
one's supposed to
talking-
be like so, not great.
I remember that, dude, when there was like consequences to not finishing the game. Like you don't know if you're ever gonna play this again.
No, or your save file's gone.
Yeah, well, and you just if it's rented,
Right,
you
yeah.
just like
Right,
you
sure.
it's very I mean, unless you're taking late charges or a super extended rent time, like
Yeah.
it was just like I don't know if I want to spend next weekend's money on the same game.
I agree. I hit that. I hear that.
But anyways, I was at a card shop over the last couple of days when I was up in Kenosha because I had some time on my hands,
Oh yeah.
and they had some video games in there, and I saw a couple N64 games, and so I bought Turok
Okay.
for my N64,
Man, dude, I love that game.
and it was like $12. It was like $12.99.
Really? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not bad at all.
No, and I asked him, I was like, "Do you guys test them? Like, is it cool?" And he's like, "We don't.
Right.
But if it doesn't work, you can bring it back, and we'll either figure out if you want your money back or if you just want to like put it towards something else." So I was like, "All right, bet." So I took it and I plugged it in today when I got home from work, and it worked. I played for like an hour.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. Did you ever end up getting that emulator?
No,
No.
I have not yet.
I
I think
don't-
I'm gonna wait till we move, just
The
because
one
like
that you have, Nathaniel.
yeah,
But yeah, I came over and I don't know how we got talking about it, but like, oh, it's because you guys
It
wanted
was-
to play Pokemon.
it was me, you, and Kendall.
Yeah, yeah. And it was because you guys were talking about wanting to play Pokemon. And I was like, yeah, I just used this little emulator. And I sent the link to Kendall. And he texted us like a week later.
Yeah,
and
that
was
he got
like-
it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, I've already got 10 hours in on Pokemon
Yeah.
Emerald.
I kind of want to buy that. It's only $80.
Yeah, it's really not a bad deal at all,
No,
especially
not
when you
really
consider
good.
how expensive one game is
Right.
these days.
it's not a bad deal at all. And then, I mean, get them now before
They
someone
go up.
cracks down on them. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I want it just
Yeah.
because I don't want to get it just because like we have so much going on right now. We're trying to get a house, and I'm just like, dude, I just don't
Yeah,
need
that's
another
fair.
thing to spend my time on. And I already spend what I would say is more than the average 33-year-old playing
Yeah.
video games.
That's fair.
Hey, man, I got our vices. Hey, real
Yeah.
quick, I
Oh
was
yeah.
talking to
I'll
my cousin
I'll
the other
accept
day.
it.
I do what I got to do.
Do you all? So speaking of game rentals, right? Do you all remember GameFly? Or like that
Yeah.
was like the Netflix
Remember
of video
the-
games where they
yeah.
would ship
Remember
that
the
shit to you?
ads? Yeah,
I was gonna say, I remember the
don't
ads.
think
I
I've
never
ever
used it.
Yeah, my cousin was like the only person I knew in real life to have that. Like growing
Sure,
up, so
yeah,
every time
yeah.
I went to his house, he had a new game, and that's how I ended up playing like Mirror's Edge, all type of shit like that.
Well, that's what I was.
He brought that up on Christmas. I was like, dude, what happened to that shit?
That's what I was gonna say too. Like in reference to renting games, was like I was like part of it. Like half the time, like I didn't rent games. I just rented movies. But I just like went over to all my friends' houses who all had different games and would
For
just play
sure,
them
yeah.
over there. You know.
For sure. Split screen days, man. You remember
Right,
those days? We
yeah.
just fucking split screen it.
I still think I've played the
Man, what a
first
time.
Gears of War probably 3 times, but every time I've played it in split screen. Like I've never just soloed it.
Right, co-op with another friend.
Yeah,
each
yeah,
time.
exactly.
For sure. Yeah, Gears was
That
good
was-
for that.
That is like one of the things I will if I decide like if Carolee and I decide to have one kid,
Mm.
I will like that'll be hard for me because like Justin and I grew up playing video games together,
Yeah,
and I just because Call of Duty Warzone is free right now, so I'm like, can you just download it?
oh, and play.
Like we're looking for a fourth anyways.
Yeah.
Like I know you hate it and you hate your life. Get used to it. Everybody that plays Call of Duty that's in our age group loves it and hates their lives all at the same time.
Just
Like that's just it's just a part of growing up
Just
and
do it
playing
together.
competitive video games. But like yeah, this is why we play with our boys because it's more or less like it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
sure.
I
And
know I'm gonna
hangout
get
session.
pissed off, but I may as well do it around people that are also gonna get fucking pissed off with me. And you know, we're hanging out and we're all mad together.
It's true.
So true.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think that's my next stage in video game development. Right, is like eventually I'm just going to complete the full circle and go back to
Go
playing
back to
COD.
COD.
Yeah, and I imagine that hits me in like 2 years at like 31.
I
Dude,
think
let
32.
me know.
I think it
I'm-
still
I
is
think
something
I'm right
of
back
like
in the shit.
it is that thing of like, because COD has been around so long at this point, my brain is naturally wired for COD controls. And
No,
so
yeah,
like
right,
That's your default.
it is that
Yeah.
it is that thing of like, I know at any point if I go back to a COD, like I will still have something of those
For sure.
skills in there.
And when you were with me, we played a lot.
That's true. That's what
We
I'm
played a
saying.
lot.
That's what I'm saying.
It got to the
That
point
was
where
Black Ops 4.
it got to the point where like Justin's always like not always, but there's a good solid part of like mine and Justin's relationship with video games that I have just been better. And sometimes it's not by a lot, but you know, like sometimes it's by a lot. And he got really good. He was like standing up with us and like the crew that we had back in like Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, like the originals. Like he was in it. And then when you and I moved in together,
It's true.
I was like, dude, you had like video games is just such a massive part of my life. You can either be a part of it or you can just sit there and watch. I don't care, but it's happening. And you were like, I'm in. I'm
Locked
in.
in. Gotta
You were
get
like,
jacked.
let's get jacked
You
in
get jacked in.
and fucking and go for it. And then you played, and then we said the scene from Space Jams where they all touch the basketball and like it steals their powers.
Pretty much it.
We basically said
Yeah,
that Justin and like there was a controller and I stole Justin's powers and then I put it in Nathaniel's hands and then he took it because Nathaniel got pretty good. And Justin, that's when Justin started to decline hard on like the competitive gameplay. And so it was so funny. We were like, Justin's bad at video games.
That's funny, man. To your point, Ty, of the call just being like that's your default. Where like you are 1000% correct in that. No matter what FPS I pick up, just the COD button mapping is automatically
Yeah.
my
Right.
default.
Yeah.
When I pick it up for the first time, and then I figure out like, okay, what's these specific controls
What's
for this game?
changed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's powerful, man. Powerful statement.
I at one point switched once they switched to jetpacks. I switched all of my COD controls to basically bumper and jumper on Halo.
Yeah, right.
So,
For
so
sure.
now
for
bumper now I can't like left bumpers jump no matter what game I'm playing on the controller. Like I can't not have left bumper be jump. So
Yeah.
now COD it's left bumper. Even as they've gotten off jetpacks, like default is still around those controls. Halo was pretty similar, except I played bumper and jumper, so now I only play bumper jumper.
Yeah, well, nowadays we have the ability to like be able to
Remap.
reprogram or remap all your
Yeah.
buttons and your specifics. And so sooner or later you start to pick up things that you just think are better in different video games. Like when I started playing Apex for the first time
Bumper
and the
ping.
ping was there on the bumper, I was like, this is the greatest thing
It's
I
very
have
helpful.
ever fucking seen in my life. And I'm like, this is gonna change. And then every time I played Call of Duty, I was like, I fucking hate that I can't bumper ping. And then I changed it because you could. They were like, they're onto something here. So they let you map it. And I was like, dude, that was one of the things that I carried over from a good game that just worked well for me.
And for me, it's that in Fortnite. Fortnite, you don't have the bumper ping.
Got it.
And yeah, it drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So